Well, these next several little blurbs will be regarding what I'm going to call the early childhood years, to give you a little bit of a flavor of what life was like, and to a certain extent how it affected who I am and how I think. They have to be described probably as idyllic, something you would see almost in a cartoon or make-believe. It was, in retrospect, very closed, very secure, very structured, very happy. I was born in '36, so the Depression was beginning to come to an end. My memory of those real early years is literally zero, unless I see something in a photo that triggers something in my mind. So my long-term memory has never been very good. Short-term has been better than my long-term. But my first real recollections are probably when I was about 4 or 5. Now it would take me 36 up to 40 to 41. Well, of course, Hitler invaded Austria in '39, I believe, and the World War had begun, and I'm not a player, and my family's not a player. My dad is at an age where he's just outside the draft years, and that's a note that you need to look up because we grew up in a period of draft. Compulsory military service as required. So I recall mostly, just being a little guy and a tricycle and all of those fun things that kids do. Watching Olivia on her scooter is very reminiscent of actually Julie and her first go-go, and all of you girls with your various bicycles, tricycles. Of course, we couldn't leave out Ranger. So my time was spent outdoors, and I grew up basically outdoors. Yeah, all of us kids grew up that way. I had, to the left of our house, if you're looking at the house from the street, that would be to the right, a family related to the Stevenses next door lived there. They had 2 girls. And then the next house over is where Marcus and Calvin Stevens lived. And they were the same age for all intents and purposes that I was. Calvin was a year older, and 2 years, I guess. and Marcus was almost a year older. But anyway, across the street was another family, Bondi, and they had an older son and a son our age. So we grew up sort of as a little street gang, if you could call us that. We certainly weren't very dangerous. And I was the only one with a dog. That would be for posterity Katie, and she would be a black lab, and went everywhere with us, did everything. So our neighborhood was where we played. We had free reign. We went out in the morning, and we came in and had some lunch. For a number of years, we would all either take a nap or stay in the house, and then we'd be out on the street again. And we weren't supervised, and we didn't have any GPSs attached to us, or video cameras for that matter. And we just learned that. We just grew up. We had to learn how to do streets, and we had to learn how to do cars and all of those things on our own, which we did. My early childhood is really centered around Story. Now, Story, Montana. Gone too long, Henry. Story, Wyoming. Is about 30 miles south of Sheridan and up in the foothills of the Bighorns. And we had a cabin there. Actually, my grandfather Davis, which would be your great-grandfather or your great-great-grandfather, depending, had a property up there, and they had 3 acres. Or at least that's what they always told us. It seemed to me that it was closer to 5, but it seemed awfully big. They had a cabin that was on the main creek, that'd be Piney, and our cabin was up near the road, and next to our cabin, and actually attached to our cabin, was my aunt, and our girls will all remember Addie. And Addie and her husband, which would be Francis Williams, had 3 children: Suzanne, the oldest, Bud, the next, and Chuck, the youngest. I was in between Chuck and Bud, actually, in the aging. So this has taken almost 9 minutes, which is longer than I thought again, but I'm going to stop. And when we start again, we're going to talk about Story and life at Story and life during World War II. So I'll sign off for now with session 1 on childhood.